So what's going on, guys? My name is MrDalekJD, and with Black Ops Cold War Zombies, we are right at the beginning of a brand new chapter in the zombie storyline, where we're surrounded by a world that feels familiar yet is so unknown to us, with one of the more familiar things being the return of Samantha Maxis, but as a full-grown adult. But we've yet to see her so far in Die Maschine, but just because we haven't seen her doesn't mean we don't know what's going on with her, and it's really exciting. And it isn't made very clear to us inside of Die Maschine, so that's what we're going to be doing for you in this video. But just before we do, I want to remind you that my Cold War Zombies posters and my Wonder Weapon posters are still on sale, and you only have a few days left to order to reach you in time for Christmas. So if you want to check out the posters, all my friends at G Fuel with a 30% discount with code Dalek right now until the 7th, check out the link below. And I'm excited to jump into it, so let's not waste any more time and let's catch up on what happened to Samantha Maxis between Black Ops 4 and Cold War. Now to start things off, let's catch some of the newer zombie players up to speed that don't know exactly who Samantha is or her backstory. She is an incredibly important character in the zombie storyline, and you've definitely heard her voice before, where as a little girl, she was in control of the zombies. If you've ever heard the demonic announcer for a power-up drop or for the mystery box and the laughter, that's always been Samantha. But the grown-up version we see in Cold War is a slightly different version to that demonic one. And in Black Ops 4, Samantha and a child version of Richtofen were teleported away from a house by her father, Dr. Maxis, to prevent Dr. Monty from killing the both of them. Whilst in the teleporter, she watched her father be devoured by Dr. Monty as this ancient keeper, and is teleported to the Alpha Omega map where Ultimus and Primus are. And with the ultimate conclusion of Primus Nikolai poisoning all the characters to rid their existence of the Aether, Nikolai hands a revolver to Samantha with the clear intent of wishing to be shot. After killing Nikolai, the dimension the children were left in was plunged into the dark Aether. But just before that moment, Samantha and Eddie were able to walk out of the dark Aether into a new, uncorrupted universe free from the effects of Element 115. And this brings us to Black Ops Cold War in the 1980s, where Samantha, now in her early 30s, has become a member of the West German BND. However, due to the outbreak at the Project N Station facility, she goes rogue in order to stop the anomalies and outbreaks that occur from the dark Aether leaching back into the universe. And that's where we're up to. But in Die Maschine, we don't see or hear from Samantha Maxis at all apart from intel. Now it's clear that Samantha and Weaver know each other, and they've worked with each other for quite a while. But Samantha isn't aware of us until we first make contact with her inside of Die Maschine. But they are recordings because her communication channels with Weaver have been compromised, and that's why she is on the run. But what is interesting is when we learn where exactly she is right now, and she's currently in a churchyard in Romania. She mentions not to worry that there are no vampires, and even if they were, she has garlic and weapons. And she has a very clear reason to believe that the BND have been compromised by Omega Group, which is the Russian bad guys inside the Cold War zombie storyline. So in retaliation, she has gone rogue, which means she's operating without authorization or oversight. But this is where she drops another bombshell. She mentions that she spent the last 7 years working alongside spies from both the east and west of Europe. You can hardly blame her. She says she knows her scorpions from her frogs.
I'm going to assume you can hear me, because the alternative is far too depressing to think about. I'm in the field, but not an actual field. That would be silly. It's a churchyard in Romania. Don't worry, there are no vampires. Even if there were, I have garlic and weapons. To be perfectly clear with you, I have reason to believe the BND have been compromised. So I have gone what some would term a little bit rogue. It pretty much means I'm operating without authorization or oversight. But since I've spent the last 7 years working alongside spies from both East and West, you can hardly blame me. Don't worry, I know my scorpions from my frogs. I was the one. I'm the reason you're here. I gave Weaver the Russian intel about the site in Poland, and told him how much the Russians were interested in it. Right now I'm operating on the theory that they knew that there was something big here. An unnatural power that they could perhaps harness and turn upon their enemies. Something no nation could be prepared for.
So with that in mind, if she's in her 30s now, we go back 7 years. So in her mid-20s, she was already well on her way in the ranks working alongside spies on top secret government projects that I could only assume are within the same realms of End Station with dark ether anomaly portals or potential other government experiments that are related to the zombies outbreak that aren't just anomalies that they're hiding from us. Now this next point is going to be incredibly interesting because I believe this is where Samantha's character arc is going to evolve and change, and we will see a massive involvement in the next DLC map, is that she's written a letter to Officer Weaver about how she's made a contact within Omega Group itself. The role that we play as the players when we play as strike teams within Requiem is to investigate Project End Station and the other maps to come, and obviously stop whatever Omega Group is trying to do using that technology. But Samantha has gone one step further and has made contact with someone inside of Omega Group, and she describes him as being scared and that she thinks that he can be turned. Which to me will be an incredible story arc to see happen within Cold War Zombies, to see an actual villain, quote unquote, be turned good and become a vital asset for us, the players, to learn information about Omega Group to stop them. But the thing that I find really interesting and fascinating is that Samantha is absolutely not what we expected to see when you look at how she was as a little girl. She's a fully grown adult. She's incredibly responsible and seems to almost get a thrill out of being constantly on the run and hiding, because she also mentions that she has to stay in the field. It doesn't matter how many people Weaver sends to bring her in, they won't succeed, and has mentioned that she's really sorry for hurting the men that Weaver has sent out to find her, but broken noses will heal. So Samantha is a complete outlaw at this point. Her story in Cold War Zombies seemingly began 7 years ago working with spies from the west and east of Europe, but it picks up where she is in Berlin, questioning who she can trust at the BND. There's an atmosphere where people are leaving, new weapons are coming in, and all that she knows is that people are spooked and looking over their shoulder, and it's all because of a project file called End Station. Samantha did everything in her power to learn more about End Station and received a VHS tape from her KGB contact, which she sent to Weaver to review, and that's what we see during the cutscene. She mentioned that 2 of her contacts have already been exposed, but to be more specific, one started singing as soon as he was detained and the other fell out of a window. By sending this tape to Weaver, she is now officially a target at the BND, and that she has no choice but to move and burn everything in her wake. Now, to get an understanding really of how Samantha is, I think it's important we listen to her verbally saying all this stuff through the various transmissions and intel in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you some of the more interesting ones that you can find in the intels, so you can really get an idea of the attitude that the adult Samantha now has and just how desperate her situation is, constantly being on the run.
Hey, you know me, don't you? Sure you do. Hopefully. You're part of Weaver's strike team, right? My name's Maxis. I'm a friend. Sorry to start off with some bad news, but friends need to be honest with each other, so I have reason to believe my communication channels with Weaver are compromised. I would say we do not know who is listening, but even an idiot could probably work it out. Russians.
Now, what's even more fascinating about Samantha's story is we've already gone over a lot of things in this video, but there is even more thanks to intels you can discover on the Onslaught game mode, which comes from the multiplayer map Checkmate, where there is intel of a story of a woman called Gertrude Bowman, who is a caretaker for a secret KGB training site, which is the Checkmate map, and witnesses a dimensional breach occur inside the facility. Because of the dimensional outbreak, all of the KGB inspectors at the facility all turned into zombies apart from her. This looked incredibly suspicious to other KGB agents, who literally tore her front door down, and a variety of different punishments was discussed. And through no fault of her own, was now part of a incredibly messy situation. And it's only a matter of time before these KGB agents visit the training facility and see the fate of those KGB inspectors who are now become zombies. Now, the following day, she gets a soft knock at the door about an hour after sunset from a woman in her 30s, German-like, golden-haired and quite handsome, though she wore no wedding ring, and she did not say her name, nor did she ask her for it. This is Samantha Maxis, and all she said was, "I'm here to help you deal with your little problem." Now, the woman Gertrude clearly knew that she was a spy in the field, but was incredibly surprised when Samantha explained that she already knew of what happened to those KGB inspectors. Samantha would only tell her that similar incidents were taking place elsewhere, though they were kept out of the news even in the West. She also said that this woman Gertrude was lucky to escape the fate that befell those men. So she asked Samantha how she knew about her. Had she been watching her, or likely the training facility? And Samantha said she worked for an organization that would eliminate all trace of what happened in the hangar. Additionally, she had arranged for someone to smuggle her to West Berlin, where a new identity was being prepared for her. But if others out there are affected by whatever this dimensional breach is, she must count her blessings and consider herself lucky to have made a new friend, which is Samantha. Now, what is crazy is Samantha is pretty much a fugitive on the run, yet she's willingly helping out someone called Gertrude Bowman for a reason we don't quite yet understand. And Samantha has made a friend within the Omega group, which I'm sure with season 1's intel we will learn a lot more about. So it looks like Samantha is currently hiding in a churchyard in Romania, and we could possibly see a map location somewhere near that location, or somewhere where we're going to cross paths with her, as clearly she knows stuff that we absolutely don't, and the fight against Omega group is definitely going to be crucial with Samantha's help, as it's already been with the location of Project End Station. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section of Samantha's character progression, considering how she was as a little girl in the zombie storyline to where she is now. I'm really excited to see her progress and become such a big, vital character. If you enjoyed this video, let me know down below, slap a like rating on this video and subscribe, and I'll catch you for another one very soon.